Come along as I take you with me to build my dream project, a large bioactive Tegu Terrarium. This detailed European guide can be scaled up or down to accommodate any reptile species, so let your imagination run wild and enjoy the build. I certainly did. In this bonus 6th episode, we're going to improve the hotspot and replace the LED strip. The hotspot of the terrarium finally burnt out, the Exoterra Sun Glow, after 7 months. So it's time to upgrade to a solar raptor. But since these are not self-ballasted like the Exoterra Sun Glows, I need to install a ballast along the wire. This was the old hotspot cable that goes into my Habitat thermostat. We're gonna take this out and connect it to the already cabled ballast using these connectors that I'll be encasing in some electric tape, like you saw in episode 2 or 3, I think. Never mind, with the electrical wiring. So let's get started. I've ended up using the smaller connectors with gel, and since I don't have any grounding cable on the light itself in the terrarium, I just connected this to a connector without any other wire, so I won't get electrocuted and so that current won't transfer from the other cables to this one. Okay, now I'll wrap everything up in an electrical tape and hide it somewhere here behind, out of sight, and after that I'll screw on the bulb. Not the prettiest solution, and I'm sure you can do better with connectors that are larger, maybe with some hot glue gun, but this is the way to go for me and it's safe, so I'll hide it here. Next, let's screw the bulb on. Time to plug the bulb in. and there's light. It's certainly better than the solar glow. A more natural looking spectrum, and it's already putting out decent amounts of heat. Now my thermostat probe is here. From the Habistat I'll be monitoring the parameters to see if the new bulb will change anything compared to the solar glow. The Tegu has quickly adapted to the new light and seems to enjoy it. Since I changed the hotspot with a 70 watt HID lamp from Solar Raptor, I noticed that the temperatures weren't quite right anymore, and I only got about 32 degrees Celsius on the back of my Tegu, which is a little on the low side. So that's why I have to lower the lamp now by about 40 centimeters. The bulb is currently at 80 centimeters from the platform, so I need to close that gap a little. The alternative was to get a Solar Raptor of 150 watt, but that meant cabling everything and replacing the electronic ballast with a 150 watt one, and the whole thing would have cost around 200 euros. So I'm opting now for the cheaper solution and just lowering the fixture. This will cost 10 euros. I've cut the cable, and since I wasn't smart enough to leave a longer cable from the start, I now have to bridge the gap with another cable using these quick connectors, and I'll use a chain to lower the fixture. A shrinking isolator tube will provide extra insulation, so you just have to heat it up and it will shrink. The deed is done, and now the hotspot will be about 30 centimeters from the back of the Tegu. I now have a longer cable, so I can lower or raise it if needed. I just have to put a longer chain if I want the hotspot lower, but I don't think that will be the case. I will monitor the temperatures and see how it goes, but it should do the trick. I also purchased this neat custom-made decal on Etsy. Just search for the Fatty Pancake store. They have really nice stuff you might be interested in. Incidentally, the LED strip from the terrarium started to flicker badly, and I couldn't localize the problem, so I will have to replace the whole thing. Now, since I will replace the old LED strip, which was a regular smart RGB LED strip with an IP rating of 20, I've decided to get a better strip with an IP rating of 67. That means it's splash resistant. So I've got this COB smart RGB LED strip, which means that this whole strip is basically encased in a silicone covering. Now I have to use connectors for the 90-degree corners in my terrarium, and in order to connect these cob LED strips, you can't use regular connectors. You have to use special connectors for cob strips. This is a connector for a cob LED strip, which has these 2 feet here spaced apart and a channel for the central LEDs, and this is a connector for a regular 4-wired LED strip. Now you can see a clear difference. And again, here is a regular LED strip and the cob LED strip. You can see that the contacts are also in different positions, so either use a special connector instead of the regular one, or cannibalize the wires from a regular connector and just fix them in place directly on the contacts, which will practically destroy your IP rating in those areas, and it won't last and be as strong as with a special connector. So in order to connect our ends of the LED strip, you just take the connector. I'll try to keep the proper order of colors, so black to the 12-volt symbol, G to green, R to red, and B to blue. So you have to turn your strip around, and the central channel should meet the central channel of the connector. Just stick your LED strip all the way inside and close the connector. A little blunt force is needed for this. To be honest, it was a little harder than expected, and I had to use a plier for a proper close, but our ends are now connected and it's sturdy and will hold. I finally managed to properly secure the new strip with quite some effort, but it is done now. All I have to do now is set up the day-night cycles, and this LED strip should also be more powerful than the previous one.